Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Griffin, and I'm a filmmaker based out of Orange County, California. And today I want to take you behind the scenes of our production. We're live right now, and we're using the C80 along with my C500 Mark II. So come on, take it with me. So this production we're on, we're going to do this kind of as a one take because we're setting up for this interview and we don't have a ton of time. So I'll show you a little bit of what we got going on for the cameras. Starting out, you guys have seen the C500 Mark II. We've used this on like a million productions by now. It came out, I think, like 4 years ago. I've used it a ton. It's a full frame sensor. When I bought that camera, it was $16,000. I bought a PL mount, it was like $1,600. Media, batteries, it was over 20 grand for the whole setup. Fast forward 4 years, and we've all known and loved the the C70 for a long time now. Now they came out with the C80, which is a full frame sensor, just like the C500 Mark II, but instead of $20,000, it's $5,500. So this is a really exciting package, and Canon's been kind of let me try this out. So thanks for that. But wanted to just kind of show you guys what we got going on. These lenses we're on, these are 1.5 times anamorphic. Feel free to just kind of check them out, get in close. This one's a 36. These are the Atlas Mercury lenses. So it's a 1.5 stretch. This doesn't have 1.5 stretch built in, but we've been de-squeezing it with our monitors. But it's a really clean image. We have used the triple base ISO quite a bit. So if you want to come around this way, one of the cool features with these cameras, I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me know if you need a sec. Base ISO, it's got 800, 3200, 12,800. Now, funny enough, we have not used the 12,800. We've used the 3200 though, quite a bit. We had a scene earlier, I can't show you guys yet because it's not out, but we had a scene earlier where we'd need to raise the level in the room. So we put it to 3200 and it works great. I'm gonna put it back to auto though. So a lot of people ask, how do these cameras match? Well, they both shoot C-Log 2 and they both look really nice to me. So, you know, if you get really in the nitty gritty, you might be able to find some differences. But for me, the C500 Mark II, the C70, now the C80, they all match really well together. Talking to you a little bit more about some of the other setups. Right now, this one's pretty stripped down. I do prefer a cage setup. So like this one here. So this is the C500 Mark II. I've used this cage forever. This is the bright tangerine top handle and sliding top plate. So I'm hoping they come out with something for the C80 as well, because it's a really good setup. But I'll trade you back. Thanks for that. Excuse the mess. This is gonna be a quick one. Monitoring, one of my favorite things, I talked about this in my original first impressions video, was when we're doing monitoring, a lot of times we take like a 50-foot SDI out of the C500, and now we do the exact same thing out of the C80, and we run it all the way back to our big 19-inch monitor. So I'll show you guys that in one quick sec. Another thing that's a really cool consideration, since these are both full frame cameras, you don't have to worry about, okay, my C70 is a Super 35, my C500 is full frame, so how does it affect the crop factor with the stretch? It's just like everything's full frame, and it's easy to figure out your shot. In terms of lighting, we got the Aperture 600D 60-inch dome, really low output for this. I do like the combo stands for this big, heavier setup. It just works a little better than a C stand, and being kind of stressed out is gonna fall over. And then for audio, we're just doing XLR, and we're running that into the C500, and that's the Rode NTG3, and I've had that one for years, and it works great. Comms, we're using the Hollyland SolidComm C1 Pros with the base station, the whole crew's on them. You put it down to talk, I put it up to mute. Really great, really discreet way to communicate with your crew instead of like yelling across the room. And then I am using the Hollyland, I don't remember what this is called, some kind of wireless thing. I'll put it on screen, but I do like it. I do like it a little better than Teradeks. So come on over here, we'll talk with Justin. So I'm here with Justin, he's our director for the shoot. Justin, you want to talk about kind of like the monitoring setup, and then maybe Levi, if you want to just swing around real quick.
Yeah. So this is really cool. Griffin always has this set up for us. This is what we really love. It's a client monitor. It's a 17-inch monitor. It serves two good purposes. One, for me as the director, I can be on standby here as the operators are working the cameras, setting it up, framing it up, lighting it up, and then I can give my input on things I want changed, or if I love it, then I can just sign off here. The second purpose of this, which I love a lot, it serves as a client monitor. So if we don't have this, later you'll see on the cameras is all the viewfinders. We don't want the client like hovering over our shoulders and trying to get sign off, or breathing over our necks while we're trying to do an interview. So we can have all the clients sit back here nice and comfy. There's couches all around, and they could just watch from behind the scenes essentially, and kind of not necessarily stay out of the way, but yeah, kind of stay out of the way. And it just makes the workflow a lot more optimized.
Yeah, sweet man. So one of the things I mentioned though is it's cool you can just tick between the two different SDI outputs, and that's one of the things that the C70 doesn't have. So like, yes, you can run wireless, but it's always kind of a headache if you're in buildings, maybe you got to change channels, there's interference. I feel like it always adds a minimum of 5 minutes to the setup, which usually we don't have. So I really like, just like I mentioned, just running the SDI straight out of the camera. Makes it just kind of a really simple, clean setup that you know is going to work 100% of the time. I'll show you a little bit more of the gear over here. Just talked about what we got going on. Got the boys hanging out. Got Adrian, we got Rob. Wet pan to Rob. Yeah, other than that, we are running the cart. This is kind of like I'd call it maybe like a corporate / doc style shoot. Like half of it's kind of run and gun. You got like a minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes to set up lights. And then the other half is, more like corporate style where we're sitting up for an interview. So this is obviously the interview section. I like running the Easy Rig. It just definitely helps my back out a lot. This is the Vario 5. I've had it forever. And then we're putting most of our gear on the cart, carting it around, using basically all aperture lights with the exception of a couple of nanlite tubes. So now let's run through. I want to do this little, we'll go back over to the C80 and we'll do a little question and answer on the C80 because there's a lot of good questions on the C80 and I'm going to answer them right now. So come on over. Okay, so now I want to kind of rapid fire through a whole bunch of questions about the C80 that people had on the YouTube community page for me. So first one is really interested in image quality and low light compared to the C70. How does it, what does it really offer compared to the C70 on a professional set? I would say the biggest things on a professional set is the SDI. It's a mandatory for me. And I really, really like having the SDI. In terms of image quality, it's really similar to the C500, the C70, C80. They all, to me, they all kind of look the same as long as you know how to expose halfway decent. And then in terms of low light, this is really great low light. 3200 looks perfect. It looks like just as good as 800 to me, and that's a huge upgrade. Next one, DJO versus triple base ISO. I don't really have time for a deep dive on that, but we'll get into it later. What frame rates can you film in without cropping in on the sensor? 4K 60 and 4K 120 does not crop into the sensor at all, still full frame. Once you go to 6K, still full frame. It really, you don't have to crop in. The only time that you would need to crop in is if you want RAW and 60 frames. I'd like to know more about battery life. It's really good. And external battery options. There's a bunch coming, and kind of same as the C70. You can run like an external V-mount if you want. How organic and rich is the image in RAW? I'm not convinced about image quality. It looks really good to me, and honestly, if you can see a difference between a lot of these cameras, I think they're all so close. The C70, C80, C500, to me they all really look the same in a professional setting. Biggest question is how it compares to the C400, R5 II, R3, and R1. I didn't have time to do those tests, but I will soon. Definitely compare against the R5 II, maybe today. And then how does the 24 to 105 2.8 pair with it? It pairs perfectly in a run and gun setting. AF on the C70 versus C80, I showed that in the last video, but the C80 autofocus is quite a bit better than the C70. Dynamic range and noise, definitely kind of showed a little bit of that. I would say that it's really close between the cameras. This is just kind of like the full frame version of the C70. What cripple hammer has Canon included this time? Haven't found one. I think it's a really strong camera with a really amazing offering. How would it handle a documentary run and gun setup for solo filmmaker? Probably arguably the best on the market, in my opinion. I think it's really, really good for that use case. I'd love to hear more about water/dust sealing. Me too. This is not my camera. I don't own it, so I didn't abuse it. But once I get one, I'll definitely subscribe to the channel because that's what we do here. The dynamic range test for C70 kind of showed it. We'll have it coming again.